Well, here goes nothing with Reassembly Episode 2. Gonna continue our Star Trek mod with the Federation. It looks like we're having some pretty good experience with the NX series, so I think we might design a Daedalus and test that out, and possibly even move to a Constitution after that. So we're gonna go into our build menu, and we're gonna start with a new thing because the Daedalus has a little bit different sausage section. I can't really do spears in this, but everything else I can give it a decent try. Now I'm building most of my early technology ships so that they are on the smaller side, so that when I do get to the larger ships like the Galaxy class and stuff, they can be a little more representative. This means that the shuttles are going to be a little skewed, but I will take the difference and be happy with it. I may even get rid of shuttles completely and just use the drones as shuttles. Let's see here. Yeah, the Daedalus actually had a relatively small saucer section. So there wasn't much room in it because it was a perfect sphere. So it's going to be probably a little less powered, but it's going to have a little bit nicer, a little bit larger back hull section. So this. A lot of times I like to just kind of build in the rest of the stuff as I go, make it a little bit more interesting. Actually, the Daedalus was straight up, if I remember. Some of this is going to be a little bit on the thicker side just because these need to be competitive to the game. If I don't give them some superstructure and armor, they're not going to do too well in combat. So, once I get to the larger ships, then the cells will actually be a little bit smoother. I'll be able to put caps on them so that they're not quite so ugly in appearance. This needs to be a lot longer. Some of my ship designs I will be looking at actual blueprints, but the Daedalus is just something I'm playing around with, so I'm not going to be too fancy with it. And one of the key things about the Federation ships that is they definitely need shielding, otherwise they're too spindly and they will not last very long in this game. I've also found that if I put the nacelles upward like this, a lot of times it actually helps with turning. I don't even have to put other turning engines and stuff on it. Normally the Daedalus didn't really carry torpedoes, but in this instance I'm going to consider the later model Daedalus. It actually does have them. And missiles can actually fire from inside of a ship, which is nice. Whereas drones usually have to be outside the ship. Put some shields in here. Oops. Need a little bit of power for those shields. This may still be underpowered, but the Daedalus actually kind of was an underpowered ship. Like, seeing how it was one of the first early actual Federation style designs. It didn't really have much room on it anyways. I'll put you here. I'm not even going to give it a harvester. I am mostly using on this playthrough my harvesters to represent tractor beams. So this is more of a scout type ship. Doesn't really have any heavy duty weapons or defenses. It's only got 4 shields, but it's not a bad ship at 851p. I mean, it'll be a good AI ship too, I think. Don't really have any point defense on this. Might give it a little bit of a tail stinger. Maybe something midships. I mean, granted, this is also something that's not really canon to Star Trek, but you don't want to be swallowed up by missile swarms either. Or drones. So here we go, that's the Daedalus class. It's still less than 1,000 points. Let's see if I can save it. It's a little bit longer, but a little more spindly than the NX class. It's also a little bit cheaper, seeing as the NX is pretty seriously armed and has some good stuff on it. I think I might do a little bit of play testing with the Daedalus just to play with it until I maybe die or something, but looks like something's missing on it. I don't really expect to get too far with it. But, well, I mean, why make it if I don't want to play it? As you can see, when I was in the plate menu, there were some warp shuttles that I had. I wait for the engines to come online, but it's got roughly the same gun firepower as the NX, even though the NX, I believe, has the rapid fire straight shooting ones. And then we got your torpedoes / missiles. Here come the nacelles. Also, the nacelles are a little bit more protected than with the NX series. You can still carry almost 1,000 Rs, which is not bad. Seems to be decent maneuverability. Let's maybe take it in the right territory and see if we can destroy something or get destroyed. This series seems to do pretty well. I may end up doing a... Ooh, hello, that's a bad threat. I'm gonna die to that. No, why not? I don't think I have enough weapons to fight this guy. Oh, I got him. I want to hit a mothership over here, though. I've only got like 1 shield left. There we go. There we go. That wasn't bad. let's get these ill-gotten gains back home. Skip out past some of these. Overall, not a bad performer. I think he'll do pretty good as an addition to the fleet. There we go. Resources safely home. Alright, so I think I might go ahead and do our Constitution class. Something like fly a little bit nicer, a little bit bigger. So maybe we'll start a size up and see how that works. You'll see me mostly swapping it. I'll have a mix of the size and the largest piece when it comes to the final series of units, but mainly I use a lot of these because they're easy to swap out for shields and the larger generators that come later on. And we're gonna go probably a decent sized saucer section. Sometimes they can be a little square, but what is it these days? And as long as I get the overall look, I'm happy. What's that? May actually do a proper nacelle series on these. That's gonna be too long. It's just I'll cut it down later. Why am I not sticking? There we go. Probably about there. There we go. I'm gonna make the connection midpoint a little thick just to give it some structure. Now when I get to the Galaxy class, this will be the full width large thrusters. Well, for now, this is actually a decent amount. I will probably reorganize this a little bit to, instead of use the big thrusters to make the appearance of an impulse drive. I'm actually going to pull up a reference picture. There we go. Okay, everything is pretty straight. Alright, so got that. You can see it's a lot meatier ship, which means it's going to be a lot more survivable when it comes to combat. I'll be able to layer the shields a little more effectively. Let's see, definitely need longer. So, which will also help give us more thrust anyway, so I'm not opposed to that. There we go. Step this in one notch. And once I get drones, I will probably use those. Maybe make some type of launchers along the mid sections for these. It goes off the end. Reduplicate. And flip. There's our overall shape for that. Going to fill in the engines. Now that I've got the longer housing, I don't really need to extend it out more than the edge, which will also protect it along the sides. You have to take a very limited amount of hit on that. Let's hope I can get some shieldings that can cover these. So shielding radiuses. Oh yeah. So shielding back here. And I think here. Generally, I try and hit areas that are structurally weak, but also like if I lose a nacelle, that will still be there for a little bit. Let's see. We'll put one harvester here. I want to make sure this one can collect a decent amount of resources because it's going to be a mainline cruiser. So I'm hoping the AI built a decent amount of these, especially once I get the larger space stations that can hold and build larger ships. Let's see, I'm going to put, let's see here. That'll be our little extra thrust, just to. Plus, it'll also give us some forward thrust if we do take a lot of damage and get down to just the saucer section. I mean, you won't be able to turn, but you might have the slight chance of being able to get the heck out of dodge. Actually, I may actually put in a little bit of turning. That'll be slow, but it'll still be something. I'm gonna put 2 more shields here. We'll protect that core middle section. And then, until I get some larger guns, I'm going to do 4 packs of these. That'll give me a little extra firepower against, let's see, let's move here, against larger ships. There we go. That's a pretty decent amount of firepower for something this size. Granted, normally you would have a longer ship, generally. I'll be here. Alright. I'm gonna get some more shielding, so I can spread out a little bit. I have to make sure I put in a decent amount of power generation for all the shields. Let's put in some of these. Put this suit, go back in there. So now I take this. There we at least now I can see our shield pattern. There's a little lack of coverage back there, but I don't think it's going to cut too much into the speed if I take damage. There we go. And once again, I'm using these larger panels so that if I decide I want to refit and add stuff later, or change things up a little, it's a lot easier than moving a whole bunch of these to fill it out. Let's see. Now time for some generators. We'll put some back here too, I think, but these ones up here done first. While this saucer section isn't necessarily going to be a whole separate warship like you might have on the Galaxy class, it would still make it somewhat autonomous if you end up having the rear section disabled or destroyed. Come on, here. Oh, this one's still not working right. There we go. I think I might copy this and use this for some of my point defense. So put one here. Here. For the most part, the shields will really protect it from too much trouble, but sometimes shields aren't always the answer. Especially if you have a heavy weapons fit that takes a lot of power, or your drives start taking a lot of power. You do have enough backwards thrust. Do that. Like these ones. Normally, when you're not going for aesthetics like this, you want to keep all this stuff in the heart of your ship, because if it takes a hit, it's going to actually damage the surrounding blocks because of the extra blast. Actually, put this up here. Right, so now we're going to put our flat cannons in. That'll give us a little bit of a little bit area defense. So we got some shields there. A little extra on the nacelles there because that's kind of a weak point. I think I might put a couple of these on here just for extra forward firepower. Not going to be the most canon thing in the world, but it's my game. I play it how I want. I may actually branch out a little bit into either Star Maid or Vorian or something else that's similar to this game in the future. Just because this kind of building stuff is one of the things I enjoy doing, and I'd like to see some people enjoy it with me. So now we name our class the Constitution. That'd help me if I spell something wrong and then post a video of it. Still got only 3000p, which is actually pretty good for everything that's on here. And I think she's a pretty survivable ship. And easily take on the 1000 point motherships of the Red, who seem to be my biggest neighborhood threat. Okay, maybe not. Alright, so we're going to upgrade. Yes, I still have the mod installed. That's on purpose because, while I like to build up of getting stuff here, sometimes it's very hard to start early game with only a limited number of P. Alright, and now we can save. Take this out of here. Copy paste. Now I got plenty of room, so I'll be able to do like Miranda class, Nebula class, Akira class, all that stuff in the future. Alright, so we're gonna do a quick test run, and I don't have a timer on my screen on this round, so I will do my best to make things work here. Good. At least the saucer section's got most of my core stuff already. That's a dangerous one. There we go. The first kill, and I'm not even all fully at ship yet. You can use your guns as improvised thrusters as well. A little bit larger spread of missiles. Ideally, when I do the Miranda and the Kira, those are going to be more missile-oriented ships. And here come the missiles. Most likely the capitals like the Galaxy will probably have some sort of factory built in. Not too bad. That's a decent amount of fireball. Kill it. So I can carry about 4,800 in resources. Ooh, there's a big guy. That's a test. So pretty much this is a good anti-ride ship. Might not hold up to some of the larger swarms like the other factions or some of the heavier duty ships, but I think it's actually a pretty decent design. I say so myself. Handle's not too bad. I use the more drifting style handling with the keyboard control, so it's going to look a little, bumping into edges and stuff around me. And I actually want to turn my stuff into the station. There we go. So that's going to be able to build more than the little ships. Oh yeah. Should be able to upgrade some weapons and stuff after this. Maybe do something with the larger turrets. So, all pretty good design. This will be the new capital style ship for the fleet. The game might not build quite as many because of the size of it, but if I can keep pouring resources into the right stations, and I think maybe next time we'll actually work on a new station, maybe based off the R1 or R2 class, that is able to have a very large P cap in what it can build. Because generally the ones that are in-game can only build up to about 1,000 or 2,000 P. That's why you may not see some of your super ship designs appear. Yes, it definitely takes care of these smaller ships. And anything gets classified. Oh, here we go. Here's the real test. There we go. Lost some shields. Overall, that extra saucer space I think saved my butt. So a good hit on this whole sector's worth of ships too. Ooh, let's take this off big signature. Red ships also have a very thin skeletal design to their cores, so it is relatively easy to knock them out if you keep hitting them in the same spot. So that's why I said some of the other ship designs are going to be different. Not going to be as easy to take out, but well, that got us another decent amount of chunk of resources. So I'm going to go drop these off and then end this episode right here, upload it, and see if we can get anybody watching. Alright, and that's episode 2 of our Truckee run through, and I will see you next time.